Hey lovelies, you're welcome back to Reviews and Recaps. Today we're going to be talking about Mel doing a live commentary to address a lot of what happened during the girls' trip, as well as Destiny. So she talked a little bit about Destiny's allegation about her speaking to Ariane Corey on a regular basis as if they were friends. So we're going to get into all of that in a second, but before that, make sure you like, share, hit that subscribe button, and don't forget to let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. All of these things help with the algorithm, so please, if you like the content, like it. If you dislike it, please hit that dislike button. It also helps. Now let's get into today's video. If you guys watched my video yesterday, I talked about how Tisha, Nell, and Kimmy had an issue with something to do with the room situation. And so Mel finally addresses the whole Tisha and Kimmy situation with the room. If you guys remember, I mentioned that Tisha said that it was a reflection of how she felt about the ladies. And Mel was saying that that is not true at all. There was no issues at the time. All of the cast were already back cool at that time. And so there were no issues there. And she said that the only reason that she put them in that 3-people room was because she knew Tisha and Kimmy are family members and are cool. And Tisha is bringing a +1. And so that's why she put everybody in that room. And I thought, okay, that makes a lot of sense. I think that's very clear. Despite Melody saying that Tisha was not satisfied with that response and was convinced that there must be some sort of reason why Mel did that. And Mel was basically saying, like, sometimes with people, there's really nothing you can do. All you can do is say what the truth is from your perspective. They are going to end up believing whatever it is they're going to believe. And I think Tisha is one of those people. If that's something that Tisha would do on account of who she is, that doesn't mean that's the same thing other people would do in that situation. And so I feel like that's what is haunting her. She is just projecting. Melody also said that on some nights, 2 or 3 days during the girls' trip, the girls were literally all up in her room. Tisha was sitting at the edge of her bed. All of them were there, just all chilling. At least most of them were there chilling after filming, and they were just kicking it at her room. And so from her perspective, she's like, is it super bad to have a bunch of girls in the same room when most times you guys will end up being in the same room together anyway? And that's the thing on like girls trip. Most times, even if you have your own room, I've had situations where we end up sleeping on the couch. The last time, it wasn't even a girls' trip. It was like a sleepover, and there was like space for all of us to sleep. Somehow we all slept together in the living room, kikiing, and that was lovely. So it's like, what's the issue? She also addresses the insinuation that Mel told Dr. Shanita about the girls and that she's her bodyguard. She was like, she didn't, and Dr. Shanita doesn't really watch the show. The thing I think people need to realize is Dr. Shanita has eyes like the rest of us. She can hear, she can discern like the rest of us. Let's not act like what Dr. Shanita said is not what we have been saying in the comment section for a while about Tisha, about the rest of these girlies and Melody Cherie. We've talked about it. So I don't think it is shocking for any of us that someone who is, you may even say not neutral, so a third party coming in and being able to assess that on their own accord. She said, if anything, what she usually tells people is get to know people for yourself, because even if she doesn't click with someone, that doesn't mean her friends or someone else can't click with them. She also was asked by somebody on the live whether she knew that Destiny was coming. She said she's on a reality TV show. And so not that she knew that she was coming, but that if you basically have the option to come, so it's up to her whether or not she agrees to come or not. So she said she was surprised that she came, but she wasn't super shocked because it's reality TV. And this is something we've also talked about. Most time for these cast trips or whatever, filming together, people want to get paid. So most times they will agree to show up somewhere. Of course, production cannot necessarily force you, but they give you the option to show up to certain places. I do also love how Melody clarified that when it comes to her personal events that she does, she pays for it out of her own money. Every time she hosts anything, she pays for it from her own money. Now, she did say production paid for the flights of the people that showed up except her friends. She did also mention, interestingly, that production wanted her to bring her single friends. And this is the thing. I think Trish was saying, like, who are these people? I'm like, girl, do you even know the host? Why are you here? and to then find out that production was the one that actually encouraged her to bring her friends. Interestingly enough, they didn't pay for the friends' flights, but they booked the catamaran. And I'm like, that's interesting. So is it that OWN does not really have, well, to be fair, we've always known that OWN does not really have a huge budget, at least compared to like other like Bravo, for instance. They don't have the same budget. I think we've known that from the kind of cast trips that they do anyway. So I can't say that I'm entirely surprised that Melody had to pay for her friends' flights, even though production wanted her to bring them. That's ridiculous. But I guess Melody got it, so it's cool. Now, Melody did address the whole point about Destiny, and she said that Destiny has never been around to hear any conversation that she's had with anyone. And I feel like this is in relation to Ariane Curry. It's like Melody and Destiny were not sitting there together while she was having any sorts of conversations with Ariane. Now, Melody doesn't go into full detail on it, and I know it's because it's coming out next week, because she said we'll get to it next week. However, she said something that I think was very, very important. She said a term called fly monkey. And she didn't necessarily call Destiny a fly monkey, but if you watch the live, you would know that that is what she means by that, right? And I want to read what a flying monkey is so that you guys will understand. Flying monkey refer to people who carry out the work of a narcissist or an abusive person. Amazing. Now, let's think about some of the commentary that I've produced for you guys on this channel. Think back. How many times have I said that Destiny is pretty much doing Martell's handiwork? He's pretty much Martell's lapdog. Is pretty much Martell's warrior advocate. And now we're going to be calling her a flying monkey because that is what she's proving herself to be. Because everything she is saying is verbatim what Martell would say. And it's insane that she feels compelled to constantly defend Martell, who is clearly a narcissistic and abusive person, in my opinion. She did also share something that I don't think I've heard before, that it was lamh that introduced her to Destiny, not Martell. Apparently, Destiny did not even mention Martell when lamh introduced her. Melody had been with Martell since 2007, had never heard the name Destiny before. So remember when I said this whole best friend thing, that how can your wife not know you have a best friend of that long? That means that was not truly the extent of your relationship. I suspect they knew each other in high school but never really spoke much, and then saw each other later on in life, and then they're like, oh, bestie. Because there is no way Melody would not have known at that time that they were best friends. And her story has been consistent. This is not the first time I've heard her say that. So her story has been consistent. So Martell and lamh were already good friends. So they would hang out together. And then the wifeys started hanging out together. And they all started hanging out together as a unit. Melody also talked about the timeline of her knowing Destiny was probably a maximum of 1.5 or 2 years. They were not friends for that long. They are not childhood friends. Isn't that very interesting? Because if you think about it, when Melody went through a lot of the things that Melody went through, Destiny would not have necessarily been a friend to her at the time. Let's also not forget that Melody left Martell before she even knew that he had impregnated Arian Curry. So that was not the reason for her even leaving at the time she did. God said go, remember? So if we think about it and in proportionalities, like how do you know so much about their marriage? And this is something that Melody said. How can she know so much? She's speaking like she was in my marriage. And those were Melody's words. But it's so true. The way Destiny speaks like she was a third party in the marriage is bizarre to me. It's like, how do you get off as a woman speaking like you know what happened in her marriage, knowing fully well that if someone speaks on what happened between you and Labaric, you will not like it because they weren't in there with you. You said you want to be able to tell your story when you're ready. Remember when Sunny wanted to expose her and she had to go to production allegedly and try to stop the story from coming out? So it's clear she doesn't appreciate a third party speaking on her marriage. So where do you get off thinking that's acceptable in this situation? Anyways, let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Don't forget to like, share, hit that subscribe button and tap that bell button right next to it and click on all notifications so you know every single time that I post or go live. And I'll speak to you in the chat. Have a good day. Thank you. Bye.